Good. And here's Tashi. Tashi's here today. He won't stay long, but he's here at the moment. Right. Oh, you're going to settle down. You can't stay there. I got to do class. Pretty good boy. Oh, you're leaving? Oh, here comes somebody. I thought somebody.
Hey, David.
You did make it.
You did make it. Yeah, I know. For once, right?
How are you, buddy?
Oh, okay. Doing all right. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Very, very well. It's good to see you.
Nice.
How's your family?
Oh, they're good. Aaron and Dawn came down last weekend.
Oh, nice.
We all went up to Sadler's in Marlboro.
Uh-huh.
It's a nice restaurant.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, had a good time. They're doing pretty good. Mom and Dad are good.
Yeah.
Andrew and Kai are, who knows? Assumed good until
Well, actually,
evidence otherwise.
I saw Andrew on Zoom a week ago, Saturday.
Oh, did you?
And I'll see him this Saturday.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I'm seeing him when he's available. I see him every other Saturday.
Okay.
So I get little reports. Jane went over and had an outdoor visit with Kaya recently.
Oh,
So
nice.
there has been some contact.
Progress.
I don't know about progress. Let's not jump to conclusions here.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, well, and Andrew's only doing one job now, so.
Oh, did he drop down on one?
Well, the one out of the West Coast, I guess, either got bought or something, but anyway, he ended up not continuing with it. I didn't get all the details, so.
Well, hopefully it was a good thing for him.
Well,
I think time-wise, it's probably a good thing. I don't know.
Time-wise and energy-wise, I think it's probably a very good thing. But
Yeah.
it seemed to me he was overdoing it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It definitely seems like he's got a lot going on.
Well,
With the kids
and also they've had a car issue.
oh,
Their old car died.
I mean, okay, I'm not surprised. I guess that was a matter of time.
Yep, and
That thing was,
he had gotten a Mustang.
yeah,
But they can't carry both kids in it at the same time.
Oh, really?
Because the seats won't fit. I don't know. So they're getting I think they're getting an Outback.
I should call and tell him We'll just trade. I'll take the Mustang. And I'll give him my car.
I don't think he
No, I probably
would
won't.
agree to that.
Yeah. So, is he buying a new Outback or like he found a used one somewhere?
I don't really know. I know he can't get it for like 3 weeks or something.
Oh,
So the kids didn't get their
the vaccine.
COVID vaccine because they couldn't get them there for the appointment. So,
Ah, jeez. Bummer.
morning, Bill.
Morning, David.
I'll just use the bathroom real quick.
Sure.
before we start.
Sure.
So Adam's in person.
Adam's in person. Yeah, I know.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you for your check.
Pardon?
Thank you for your check.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for the glasses.
Well, I enjoy the class, so
No, I'm glad. We enjoy it too. I know I can speak for everyone.
oh, that's
Are
nice.
you
Thank
speaking for me? What are
I
you doing?
am. I'm putting words in your mouth.
You're not the first person. Probably won't be the last. Oh, look, I have two people here. Last time I was on Zoom, I was at my friend's in Ohio, and the two of us were at a workshop. Maybe I'll change it to just Joanne if I can manage. Oh, yeah. I got in after 10:30 last night after driving.
Ah,
Well, yesterday, I drove back from Kentucky on.
oh,
Yeah, no, the reason I was gone is that on last Tuesday, my friend drove me to Toledo because that's where she lives. She was here in Eastern Connecticut just for a wedding. We spent a few days there. We went down to Cincinnati to the Underground Railroad Museum, which was amazing. And then I
Really?
took a bus to Louisville where my friends are and where the car they were giving me is. And then I stayed a few days there. And then I went to college in Louisville. So I have friends down there. So then I went to stay with a friend at her family farm in Frankfort, Kentucky. And then I drove back there. And then I went to Swarthmore College yesterday for a day at their Peace Collection, working with their staff. And
Oh, really?
I had to have a Valentine Peace Trust meeting, and I did it at the Vince Lombardi service area on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Oh, one of my favorite service areas.
Mine too. Joyce Kilmer was closed.
If you can't have Joyce Kilmer, you may as well have Vince Lombardi, right?
Please to football. Yeah, what the heck?
Nate, I have a grandson who's considering, he's going to apply at Swarthmore. He's considering whether or not he's going to go early action, which is
Oh,
due in the middle of November if he does it. So,
oh, wow.
ah,
It's a lovely school. My son went to Earlham, another one of the Quaker schools, but out
oh, yeah.
where David
that's-
used to live in Indiana.
Yep.
Right? You lived in Richmond, didn't you, David?
absolutely.
Yeah, so Patrick went to Richmond, but yeah, Swarthmore is a good school. Yeah, beautiful school. But they are one of the best archives for peace organizations.
Oh, interesting. I'll
Pretty
pass that along to
significant.
him.
Pretty
Yeah.
significant. War Resisters League will be 100 next year, so they're working on our archives.
Yeah, they let in less than 6% of their applicants.
What?
Cream of the crop.
It just means-
Yeah.
And they're really working on diversity too. I think that's really important too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
We
yeah,
have
it's
a,
not easy to get into, but if
yeah.
you're what they want.
Yeah. Our grandson, our son, Nathan, went to Earlham, by the way.
Oh, did he? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
think I ever knew that.
Yeah.
I liked Richmond very much. It was,
It's an interesting town.
it
It is
was.
an interesting town.
Well, my parents weren't Quakers. They were very good friends with the Quaker theologian there
Oh, uh-huh.
who lived in. And so I got exposed to all of that. It was-
Interesting. So was the Earlham School of Religion there at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're both- Yeah.
And also they had quite a camp. I don't know if it was a camp, but quite a place where they brought refugees from Europe,
Oh, interesting.
which the Quakers did, and
Yes.
they got Norbert Silbiger. Why I remember that name, I'm not too
Well, it's an interesting name, Norwood.
sure. But he had been a director at oh, I can't remember now, a big opera over there.
In Europe.
And they the community theater hired him as their director, which he did for years. And my mother was one of his favorite actresses.
Wow.
Neat.
Weird
That
bits
is
of
cool.
history.
That's great. I never knew
Right.
that. All new history.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway. Quakers-
Bill Nagel has a severe sinus infection and
Oh,
is under medication, and he advised me last night that if he could possibly attend today, he would, but he wasn't making any promises.
Yeah.
doesn't sound, yeah.
So he's
He's
not
had
here, but
He's had a bad run.
we are recording. And
Mhm.
actually, if you look at the recording later, you will get to meet Tashi, my male cat.
Ah.
Appeared right at the beginning of the video. He was in my lap. So okay, enough
All
of
right.
important news. Questions, comments?
I'm afraid I did not get to it. I had no Wi-Fi really since Friday that was able to really do anything. Right? So yeah, I printed it out this morning and then didn't get a chance to read it yet. So sorry, but it's here and I will
Yeah. Oh, well.
spend some time today going over that, and today's probably, yep.
Well, believe me, it sounds like you didn't have time in your travels to do much
No,
of
there
anything
wasn't much
extra.
time. And the one day I could have at least looked at it, I couldn't get Wi-Fi at all,
Ah.
so,
Oh, well.
oh well, but yeah, I'll catch up,
Yes, you will. Bill?
Well, no, I've been enjoying my new version of number 3. So
Good.
I see, okay.
I'm sure there'll be other versions to come, but I'm happy where I am now.
Yeah, don't consult Shelley and Carol because they'll fill you up with other versions. No questions though, Bill.
Mm,
I have a question.
Okay.
More of a general question based on what we were doing last week,
Mhm.
with really trying to feel kind of like the limit of the energy and letting go of movements a little bit and sticking with that feeling to guide the ranges of movement. So it,
Changeover points.
yeah. So should that be just one, I guess, tool in the toolbox of ways you can practice, or should that really be how we do a flow going forward? Because I guess I'm asking because doing it and doing it in the mirror, I can recognize those changeover points are not where we're ideally supposed to be. And it's very different from saying like, okay, I'm gonna really work on getting my hands and elbows and scapula all moving at the right times and in the right places.
So, yes.
Okay. End of conversation. That's all I needed.
All right.
So, indeed, your awareness of where you actually need or are changing from one to the other is how you should be doing it as you go forward. When I give you an ideal position for
Mhm.
that, it's only a suggestion.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be that exactly. And that's one of the conundrums, if you will, about gods is that everything could be done in multiple ways. You might remember I mentioned that Bruce had learned 200 ways of doing one movement, depending on what particular effect you wanted to have.
Mhm.
He didn't teach us those. I don't know them. I can't actually attest to that, but that's what he told us. But everything is really dependent on the clarity of your awareness of what's going on with the energy, not just the physical movement.
Mhm.
If the changeovers occur at those ideal places, and that they are not necessarily the only ideal places, but that may be helpful.
Mhm.
It's kind of that thing that your teacher may watch you doing something and be able to say, you know, if you did it just a little bit differently this way, I think it would be better. It might work better for you. Well, that may or may not work
Right. Yeah.
because it's dependent on what you feel, not what
They, yeah.
someone else sees or feels outside of you. Although it can be sometimes be helpful, but it's not always the answer.
Mhm. Okay.
So let's add a little, as we are wont to do.
That's right.
So what is fascia?
Mm.
Anybody want, oh, Adam can answer that.
Adam is the medical expert here. You've taken
All
more
that other
anatomy than
stuff
we
that's
have,
not
Adam.
muscle or skin.
Okay. Okay. So
Mm.
basically it goes through 4 layers, or actually 4 main transference mechanisms. Blood and nerves are the 2 really biggest ones, but they're not the end of the story. The other ones are very important. And now that we have done, now what we have done about putting your mind inside your body, getting your mind to move through your body, will naturally get blood and nerve signals going through it. It will activate your blood and your nerves. But now we go to the next 2, fascia and ligaments. And ligaments are larger pieces of fascia, if you will. They're composed of something called collagen. But what is very interesting about fascia is that it goes into every part of your body. You might find it interesting to explore on the internet because there have been some recent breakthroughs, at least in scientific research, where they're starting to show just how important fascia is to bodily functions. Now, the next thing is that you're going to have to know how to feel and release the fascia. And most people are not used to feeling their fascia. and most people are not used to releasing their fascia. So many forms of body work that are called myofascial work with the fascia, but to do it yourself has always been a very fundamental principle in all higher level Qigong. Now we're going to learn how to bend and stretch the arms and the torso, but very specifically to bend and stretch the fascia. Now, one of the biggest impediments to bending and stretching and lengthening the body to the degree needed, or at least possible in gods, is not primarily using muscular tightness. It's nerves and, on a tissue level, what binds the muscles of the body together. And that tightness you usually are feeling is fascia. If the fascia releases, you won't actually feel all that much. You won't feel very much tightness in the muscles. Now, fascia wraps and holds almost everything in the body. You can think of it as something, well, sort of like what we call saran wrap or cling film, which is used to go around meat and leftovers to keep them fresh in the refrigerator. If fascia is not stuck, it allows body parts to freely slide, which is one of its primary functions. On the negative side, this can make you unhealthy. It can prevent injuries from recovering easily. It can diminish the full functioning of the body parts that the fascia is connected to, and thereby prevent physical high performance and cause all sorts of health problems and pain in the body. However, if the fascia can slide with minimal adhesions, it can improve what otherwise it can diminish. Learning how to release the fascia in your legs and arms will develop an awareness that will enable you to release it in your internal organs and glands. And this is part of the more advanced levels of God's playing in the clouds. Now, for most people, the legs are intrinsically tighter than the arms. It's not, it's a lot easier to put your hands over your head than to do the same thing with your feet. In life, arm flexibility is naturally way more common than leg flexibility. So we will start with the arms. Now, most people can touch the top of the head with their hands, but most people can't do it with their feet. This is equally true for vertical, horizontal, and coronal movements. So if you look at all 6 movements of God's, the statement I made is going to be the same for all of them. Now I'm going to show you something about trying to have a way of understanding what the fascia is. And you'll be doing this on yourself, but it's really, really difficult to do it on yourself, and it would be much clearer if you had a friend who could practice with you and do it on you. We all know what muscles are, but what is really responsible for the muscles being able to move really fluidly and smoothly is the fascia that's holding the muscles together. So, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see this on Zoom, but nonetheless. So if you just slide your fingers on your skin, it doesn't do very much. It's not going to cause you to move, or you may feel some sensation, but there's not much going on. If you press in really hard and get a hold of the muscles, you could push an arm down. However, if you go in about 1/4 of an inch or just enough to really connect with the fascia, you can, by simply sliding that, feel it stretch down to your fingertips and back up all the way to your spine. And this is just sliding the fascia a little bit. And the difference is you have to try to feel the difference. Obviously, sliding on your skin doesn't do it. If you press in really hard, it won't do it. You get a little bit of the feeling, but if you just go in enough to just really make contact and get the fascia, you can get it to actually slide quite completely down to your fingertips and back up, clear into your spine, ideally. So that's just something you have to feel. Can't lift my fingers, can I? So what you have to realize is what you're trying to get is how is something, what you're trying to get is how this feels, this something feels inside your arm. You have to think about the example of the saran wrap. When you want to make it go around a piece of meat, you stretch it and it sticks. This is the same way the fascia is sticking to your muscles. If the fascia is really loose, then the muscle slides. But if the fascia is really tight, the muscles can't really move. It has a certain type of feeling of resistance. And I don't really know quite how to explain it, since different people feel it in different ways. So try this again. You don't have to necessarily stand up, but I'd like you to just first expose a section of your skin. And if you're going to do it on your arm, which is the easiest place to do it at this point, you should try to do it on the upper arm, because you can do it from the lower arm, but it's much easier to do it from the upper arm. And so first thing I want you to do is just slide your fingers along the skin and feel whatever you do feel. And then push in firmly and see what happens. Move your fingers up and down a little bit. You might feel yourself being able to move the muscles a little bit because you can connect them directly. But then just let your fingers go in a little bit. Let it sink into your body a little. Do you feel like you found your fascia?
Yep.
And then just slide it like saran wrap, moving. And you're looking for the sense that that movement is moving the fascia all the way to the fingertips. And then when you go back in, It's moving it all the way to the spine. Now, if your fascia is stuck in your arm, you may not feel a whole lot. But it is a very definite feeling when you get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, I can feel it.
Okay, Adam says yes.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Bill?
I can't say that I feel it.
So what are you feeling?
Well, I can feel as I do that, I can feel some energy, a sense of energy like moving towards my fingertips and not so much back up towards my spine, but
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, there certainly is an energy movement with this, but you're also looking for a very physical awareness too. And it is subtle. I'm not going to say it's obvious and you ought to have it. No, it may take you a little while to begin to really feel it, but it's interesting that it is there.
yeah. So the fascia, just an anatomy question. I'm thinking of like cutting up a chicken for frying or something. There's a membrane that's over the muscle and under the skin.
Yep.
That's the same thing,
Yep.
like the fell of a lamb or something. Or...
Yeah. You can also just take a minute at some point and Google fascia and look at some pictures.
Okay.
You can very quickly.
Another thing I'm noticing is where there used to be a muscle, there's not so much.
That's
Gee,
true,
I didn't
Bill.
say that.
I don't think Adam's saying that, but
No,
No.
I'm on the same page you are. So you feeling a sense of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. So there is a difference between muscles and fascia, and most people actually don't really quite know what it is. And they don't know quite what fascia is either, except as a word somewhere. So you really just have to play with this and get to where you can really feel the fascia moving the muscles. It's just a certain sense of the feeling of what it's like, and you have to grab it when you feel it. And the fascia of your body is a whole body phenomenon. It is moved through all sorts of links, and it's not just that you have it in a local area. It actually causes other motions wherever the links are spread. So the question is whether you can feel it or not. Do you have to play around with it? No, you do have to play around with it. And that's about the only thing I can say. To learn how to stretch your fascia, understand this one very simple principle. Once part of your body, one part of your body stays still, and one part of your body stays still and anchors the fascia, and you pull the fascia from the other end. So this is actually, interestingly enough, goes right back to all the things that we've worked on in terms of finding that connection between the elbow and the scapula and how to maintain that so that you have a consistent movement of the scapula. Well, same thing here, actually. let me just get back to so you have to fix your elbow in a position, a distance, where you connect to all of that fascia. And you have to maintain that just as we've had to maintain it in the sense of connecting to the scapula. So they go together in a way. And it's this also true of lengthening. But once you find that connection, you can stretch out to your fingertips and back in to your spine, just with the bending of the arm. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but you have to maintain that connection. If you let it collapse, you immediately lose that. So it's actually very much like what we've done with the scapula, but now you're working with just feeling the fascia extend out and the fascia extend back, stretch back. So let's try that. So you're really trying to first just find that connection between your elbow and your fascia. Where is that? Where can you find that simply making that movement, you can begin to feel that same sense you got before when you were moving it here, that you're connected to the fascia and you can stretch it back to your spine and out to your fingertips. And then, of course, we are endeavoring ideally to do this in this practice that we're working with. So let's go to movement 2. So if you start, let's start by going to that first position at the bottom where you come to the crossing of the wrists. And everything is bent a bit. As you come up, you're stretching the fascia out to the fingertips, wherever that feeling may go to. And then you're stretching the fascia back in as you go back, bending, and then stretching out. Stretching in. And just do that a few times. See if you can really get that connection of feeling the fascia moving as you do this, as well as all the other movements that we, of course, have done before. Make sure you don't let the elbows collapse, nor try to extend out too far. In a way, this is like a rubber band that you're trying to keep tension on, but not too much and not too little, so that it keeps having an awareness of that stretching first in one direction and then the other. And ideally, you want that stretch when you come back in to go all the way to the spine. So now we're really trying to begin to go beyond the scapula, which we've pretty well connected to, hopefully, and going right on back to the spine. So you really have to concentrate on maintaining the connection of the elbow to the spine. Or sometimes for some people, using the wrist rather than the elbow works better, but that's something that I simply suggest to you. And if you're finding that the elbow isn't working too well, you can focus on the wrist and see if that connection works better for you. Okay, relax for a minute. So what did you feel or not feel?
Kind of, it comes and goes as you move through the movement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy to lose it,
Mm-hmm. Yes, it
you
is.
know, especially coming in, at least for me. Going out was a little easier to keep the connection.
It's interesting, just you particularly, you were much more relaxed going out. As soon as you started to bend in, I could see the shoulder and the upper arm start to tense.
Okay.
And I think you could allow your armpits to close a little bit more.
Okay. Sure.
I had almost a sense of you were fighting to keep that space rather than a little bit of release.
Yeah, I think I felt like I was trying to keep a lot of space there to feel like a stretch in the fascia to be able to connect with it.
Mm-hmm. That space isn't,
Yeah.
that isn't it.
Yeah. Okay.
Joanne, Bill?
I I think the challenge, although I again feel it, is that Saran wrap is not an elastic band. That insightful, aren't I today? But that it is, yeah, it's not just one thin path here, right? It's,
No.
it's the whole arm, and kind of feeling that like a long globe or like a tight, frog suit. I don't know what, so just kind of getting to that point of making sure you weren't just concentrating on one,
Right.
electrical pathway there, but the
Right.
whole thing. But I felt like I was getting that. But yeah, I think like everybody else, a little like, oh, where did that go all of a sudden?
Yep.
Or yeah, anyway.
Yeah, for me, that was a lot more successful. That the elasticity, even if the saran wrap doesn't have the pop backedness that,
Yeah,
if that's a word.
Pop back in this, we understand.
it is here.
But that elastic thing, and I did feel doing the exercise versus moving my fingers, with slightly pressed into the skin. I did feel that connection a lot, including from the spine going down to the site of my plantar fasciitis
Oh, good.
historically. So
Ah,
going down the legs as well, and it was more. I think it was more than me imagining it happening.
Good.
Happening. So I think it softened the movement a lot for me.
Uh-huh.
The feeling of keeping sort of an elastic tension going in and going out was a good image for me.
Good,
mm,
good. Um, so that anchoring of your elbow and keeping it fixed is really an important point. And it is possible to do that, as I said, by using the wrist as your connection point all the way to the spine and back out. But generally speaking, people find working with the elbow a little easier than the wrist, but not everybody. Yeah. So what I'd like you to do now is to do a short flow and begin to think about this in each posture, because it's not just movement 2 where we want to move the fascia. We'd like to move it in all 6 postures. So maybe just do 6 repetitions, just a short flow.
okay.
See if you can begin to get a sense of that. So how was that?
I think pretty good. Some points easier than others.
Mhm.
I think it messes up the timing a little bit, trying to find that connection. But that's okay.
Yep.
Especially in 3, where timing is always an issue.
Yep.
But I think generally there was a pretty good sense of being able to do it a little bit in each posture.
Mhm. Good. Bill?
Yeah, I think especially for, well, 2, 3, 5, and 6 worked real well, I thought, for me. 2, 3, 5, 6.
You all seem to be doing really well with 5 and 6. It was interesting today.
I
Joanne?
find 6 very challenging. I think, well, no, I don't find it very challenging. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I kind of lose the energy at 6. Maybe that's just more in my mind. I'm like, is this really right? So I do need a little review on that maybe. Yeah, and it's very interesting how different, your awareness changes as you go through them, right? And so it's like, oh, 3 was like, oh, this is interesting. And felt more whole body because your body is moving more than with the others, right? So no, I could really feel it. Yeah, and it still comes and goes a bit, but yeah, I actually felt it quite in 4. So I thought that was interesting that Bill didn't, but yeah, kind of to me that was one of the stronger ones.
The way you were saying that, it is easy for me to get lost in what I just did and what I'm about to do instead of what I'm doing now.
Right. Yeah.
On the other hand, I felt like this is a good time to learn this because I feel like we have a foundation that that kind of moves, so I was aware of that to some degree, not having to think about some of those other things and how it all fits together.
Yeah. where in 6 do you lose the energy?
At the top, at the cross at the top.
Yeah, so that actually interesting because that was one of the things I wanted to bring up with everybody. Because what I'm seeing is obviously not feeling that connection at the wrist.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because I'm seeing hands, if you can see me, like this, or one up the wrist and
Up
one
against the other, uh-huh.
at,
Mhm.
at the wrong connection. There's no connection there. There's a connection there.
Yeah,
When I moved my hand there, the energy went zip into my fingertips. So every time you go to that wrist cross, you've got to find that connection, because if you don't, then it certainly decreases what you're going to feel.
yeah.
So that would certainly be true in 6. I think the one other thing that I might just mention is in really, I guess it's 2 and 5, where you're coming up. I guess I should change my camera. I need a tech person to change my camera. Either that or I need another set of eyes. That wouldn't hurt either. So I think one of the things I was seeing happening in both 2 and 5 was a tendency to lose the rising, some of the rising through the center.
Uh-huh.
So I was making this connection, starting up and then just spreading out. And you're not going to get the energy all the way to the top of the head when you do that. You may get it up to here and spread out to your arms, but you need to bring it up and then go out. And the same thing is happening in 5, even though the movement is subtly different in that you're here and it's coming up, but then it goes on up and out. It doesn't go to here and spread to the side. So if you can feel that, I think it will help in those 2 postures to get the energy to go on, up, and over the head.
Yeah.
So
Would you, David, just, that's very helpful. Would you just briefly demonstrate number 6?
sure. So, which reminds me of one thing I wanted to say for you, Bill. Remember to round your corners. Thank you, Mr. Joe. It was just the one that I noticed that you really was that you came down in 4 and it had no roundness here. It just went right back in again. Boom, boom. But in all the transitions, make sure that you don't just have it stop and start, because that stops and starts the energy. So in 6, if you've gotten to here, give me a second. So you're coming down, and remember, you're going to go all the way to the connection of the wrist. and then up. Connect the wrist and come down.
Just
Bend.
come down like that. Okay. And then, okay.
Make sure you bend all the way to
Mhm.
here, and then start to extend all the way to here, and then bend, and everything is bending and extending. Look, you want to get the whole arm to extend and to bend. You bend all the way. If I take the body out of this, you're bending all the way. You're extending all the way. And that's kind of difficult in some of these, is to get that.
Yeah.
keep that
I can come back to that. That's helpful because I think I have a very casual approach to number 6.
Almost done. Almost done.
Oh. No, that wasn't what I meant to do.
No, it's interesting though.
Oh, that's good. That's the
I just click on it.
bokeh in the background.
Oh, well, yep. There it is. So, other questions? Okay, well,
No, good class. Yeah.
have
Good.
a good week's practice. Remember, this is the beginning of a new session,
Oh, okay.
and thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
You're good
Thank you, David.
students.
Great.
I like working
Yeah.
with you. You practice.
We most of the time.
Yeah. We're
Well,
always
you're the-
practicing. We never finish practicing and actually doing it, right?
Oh, practice,
Your
practice.
practicing is doing it.
You have to practice to practice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good week.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Adam. Bye.
Hmm.
Take a breath.
Take a breath. Yeah.
So, what do you guys have Master Joe's the Tao of Tai Chi Chuan?
I do.
I could do somewhere.
Yep.
Pull it out and look at the chapter called Experience, because that's where he describes the 3 stages of development, humanity,
Okay.
earth, and sky in his terminology. But just, I've been going through it again this week and realized that he had a lot of good things to say there. And one that I was reminded that I haven't really emphasized recently is slowing it down, and slowing it down as slow as you can possibly go and still maintain structure and focus on what you're trying to do. And I realized that how much that opens up, how fully you can focus your intent and your awareness on what you're doing. And that seems obvious, but I really was thinking about the first movements in our form, because interestingly, I'm teaching the short form on Tuesday mornings, and it's been interesting to me to go back and teach this again, because I haven't been at the beginning for a while. But what I was thinking about was the complexity of those first movements. And obviously, this work with the fascia we're doing is exactly one of the things that we're really hopefully using in our form. But one of the things I was thinking about was that when you begin very slowly, you can use that to find that connection between the elbow and the spine. And then going very slowly, you have time to find that extension out and coming back in and going out, and realizing that as you go into the U, to follow, there is a little more out, just as there is in the Yang style. And then it comes in, and then it goes out. So if you slow it down and really look at it, you can begin to really feel those things happening. When we get in, I mean, the flow is important. Not that you shouldn't flow, I'm not suggesting that. But I think that if you really slow it down, it lets you find where you need to think about what you're doing. Do I really know what I'm doing here? It's very often when we go quickly through a point, it simply means that we are unsure about what we're doing, or that it's something where we need to concentrate our awareness and find out why we're doing that. What is it that's not comfortable, not working?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to suggest that you do that you try some slowing down, as slow as you can do it and still maintain.
Okay.
And really, I think working with the fascia here is a really good thing to focus on in this, because it certainly has a huge amount to do with everything that's going on with it. So, any question about it?
Probably any questions about it, you know, about going, taking the time to slow down and try and focus on what you're doing.
We tend so often, I mean, and God knows I've been guilty of this. We think, oh, I got 10 minutes, I'll get in a fast practice.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
well, yeah, sometimes that's the best you can do, but maybe it'd be better to, I'm just going to do the third paragraph as slow as I can and not try to rush through everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good reminder.
Okay.
Good. And I'll have time this week.
I beg your pardon?
Anywhere.
Did you say you will?
I will have time this week. Yes. No, I'm very looking forward to that.
Good.
No more driving around too far, too much.
And not always on the phone?
No, well, you know, I wasn't exactly sure when I'd get back. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to do this class from a hotel room somewhere on the road. I didn't schedule anything for today or tomorrow. So that gives me space to kind of unpack, recalibrate everything, kind of, and do some practice. So, yeah.
Good. Any other thoughts here about this? Anything about God, the God's practice, because you guys are certainly more advanced than the two Bills.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think so. Not about the God's practice. Because maybe just about the fascia in general, you know, it
Mhm.
seems like when you really connect with it, it's almost such a strong connection. It overpowers might be the wrong word, but overpowers any sensation of energy. At some point, do you do both at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
What was your question, Adam? At some
Is it-
point, do you what?
like connecting with the fascia, it's such an overpowering sensation. It kind of dilutes the sensation of the energy. But when you get it, you can really feel it. You can really feel the fascia kind of
Yeah.
pulling from all over the body.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And it seems to just by focusing on that, make everything else relax. Like when you get it, it's much easier to just relax everything and have a real easy flow and movement. But there's not a lot of that kind of energy feedback.
So is this greatly different from focusing on any new element?
I feel like this is a trap. This is a trick question.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Let's face it.
I think that happens every time we begin to
Okay.
focus on something
Something, yeah.
specifically. Because once you bring your intention to focus on just one thing and it has not yet been incorporated into the ease of all of your movement, yeah, it overwhelms the awareness of other things. Absolutely.
Okay.
But when you reach the point where you don't have to think about moving your fascia, and it simply moves because you're doing the movement and your intention, even your subconscious intention is aware of doing it. You're not thinking about it, so it's not in the forefront of your mind. It's not blocking your awareness of anything else.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Because if you stop and think about all the things that you can do simultaneously while you're doing either God's or the form, at this point, you realize that you're doing several things. I don't know exactly how many, but there are several of those Nagol elements that you've incorporated, and they're all happening. But yeah, focusing on a new one, it feels like the others sort of slip away, but they'll come back. They're still there.
Okay.
And this one will slip into the fold.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Good.
Great. Yep, I'm looking forward to go finding my Master Joe book. Well, I know where it. I actually do know where it is. I have not moved in 40 years, Adam, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.
Great, thank you. See you all next week,
Good seeing you,
hopefully.
Joanne.
Yeah. Take
Okay,
care. Have a good week.
bye-bye.